This is K-12 Tech Talk. K-12 Tech Talk. The podcast by K-12 Techs for K-12 Techs. Real conversations, real arguments, and real banter on trending K-12 technology topics and issues.
Live from the somethingcool.com studios, this is the K-12 Tech Talk podcast. I am Josh. With me, as always, is Chris. He's on time tonight. Hello, Chris.
What's up?
And Mark.
Hello.
So it's been another busy week. It seems like these weeks just continue to fly by quickly and faster than ever. We thank somethingcool.com for continuing to sponsor us. They would like for you to share us with your friends, though. Jeremy sent that email and he said, hey, have your listeners share the podcast with all their meeting groups and people like that. So there you go. Jeremy's asking us to be shared. So do us a favor and share a link to the pod, tweet us or email us. And we have another listener email from our one listener, Pate, that we'll get to later in the show.
There's two. There's another listener email too. There's two.
Oh, that's right. I did. I replied to that email too.
Yeah.
So what's been going on, guys? Chris, you said you've been working really hard this week.
Yeah. So I am I guess a 4.5 person department. And one of ours, our technician, who does way more than just what you would say is a technician. He traveled afar to the Bahamas. So that leaves me picking up the pieces. So I have trouble. I had to go to a classroom and speakers not working. I had to swap out an audio cable, and I haven't done that in a long time. I had a teacher at the high school, one ticket, and she said, I have 2 monitors not working, 4 mice not working, 2 keyboards not working, and like 10 computers won't connect to the internet/network in one ticket. What do you guys think about that?
Those all should be individual tickets, clearly.
Like clearly that just happened. Like that all happened at once.
No, I was going to say that's a very efficient use of tickets. That's not good.
Oh, you like the idea that it's a single ticket, Mark?
Yeah. No.
So I worked on that. The network administrator had to do follow-up work in that room. This morning's morning started with me working on our golf simulator computer.
Oh,
never
nice.
touched that really before. That was a blast.
You have a golf simulator?
Yeah, when you go to like those restaurants or those bars that you pay money and you can, hit it's at a screen. You know what I'm talking about?
Are you hitting an actual golf ball, or is it one of those
actual golf ball, actual golf club?
Wow.
Yeah, that's for our golf team. So it wasn't working. I had a DNS issue. I fixed it.
Is your golf team really good?
I don't know.
Is it just golden tea? Does somebody have golden tea in their classroom?
It's actually just golden tea.
Okay. All right.
And then I ended my day on a ladder. I reset a security camera that wasn't working, and I got it to work. Like I'm on it right now.
Speaking of security cameras, we have pulled and installed over 20 security cameras this week. I won't say the manufacturer or vendor because they're not a sponsor of the show, but these new
people don't like when you do that though. Can you do a rhymes with?
Rhymes with. I don't know that you can rhyme with this word. I think this might be one of the words. It's a proper. We'll just say this. It's a proper name, right? Or a proper noun.
People.
Proper noun.
Why are you like this?
Because they're not a sponsor. Show me the dollars. Show me the dollar bills, yo.
Oh my gosh.
I'm telling you what though, the mapping feature set in this, I was showing Chris and Mark before we started recording. I can pull up a map, and if the camera sees someone walking down the hall, the map shows a little blue person walking down the hall in real time. So our building administrators are like loving it. They're like, dude, if we ever had an active shooter, we would know exactly where they were by just looking at the map. We wouldn't really have to pull up every camera and look and that kind of thing. So yeah, there's some really, really cool feature sets in this application.
Yeah, we just finished security camera reviews of different platforms, and I definitely came out of the reviews saying, well, I'm never gonna hide ever again. It's anything you do on a camera is caught, analyzed,
Yeah.
send up to it's insane.
Yeah. You can say, show me all the guys with red shirts, and it will show you all the guys with red shirts. It's
Yep.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So
How does it know it's a guy?
I don't know, but you can tell it male or female. I don't know. That's a interesting.
That doesn't sound right.
no.
You're on an island, Josh. You're on an island.
I'm just telling you what the options are, man.
High def cameras, Chris. That's the explanation.
Yes.
Very, very high def.
Let's see. What else? What else going on, Chris?
I don't know, man.
What are we doing next week?
Oh, we are going to virtually attend the Secure Ed conference. That's an Illinois conference. And let me pull up the details on when our session is. Secure Ed Schools, and we're going to be doing this on Wednesday, January 18th. If you're binging on this and maybe it's 2024, you can probably find and see how well we did on this session that we're talking about. Hopefully, if you're listening in 2024, this thing's still around and you are binging to catch up with the current episode. But we're going to be, if you're joining that conference, it's going to be at 10 o'clock. That's Central Time, Wednesday, January 18th. And we're going to talk about 10 lessons learned from interviews from the podcast.
Yeah. 103 episodes now. This is our 103rd episode. I think we've learned probably 10 things, wouldn't you say? Maybe 9.
Yeah, I feel like Mark really fluffed up one of them. Really like 9 things.
Oh,
Wow.
It should be said that Mark has done the bulk of the work.
He's a heavy
on
lifter.
This presentation.
Mark is a heavy lifter. That is for sure.
As the new guy.
Well, I mean, it's clear you're the CIO. Like it's clear.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I am the one that thought you just put everything into one ticket. So, okay.
you were a teacher before you were a CIO. So that is that there's no harm there.
Yeah, let's not talk about my background because that led to another awkward moment this week with Josh.
Oh, yeah, about how old I am. I'm considerably older than you two, which I had no idea.
Who knew? You're such a young spirit.
All right, let's take a quick break, and that sounds like a perfect breaking time. Let's take a quick break and listen and hear from one of our sponsors.
Provision Data Solutions is a proud sponsor of the K-12 Tech Talk podcast. They can help you with all of your networking and firewall needs, including Fortinet. They're big sponsors of the Midwest Tech Talk conferences as well. They'll be at the Security Symposium in March and the Tech Conference in July. Visit MidwestTechTalk.com for information about the conferences.
Thanks for sticking with us through that. So last week we talked about quite a bit ChatGPT. We have a listener email about ChatGPT, but I have a funny story quickly. Today was our administrative meeting at central office. We do that once a month before our board meeting. And the topic of ChatGPT came up, and nobody really knew what the superintendent was talking about. So I took the opportunity to grab the laptop and throw it up on the projector. And I've been trying every day for this week to get into ChatGPT and use it, but it's been at capacity and usage has been locked down. So I told everybody in the room, like, well, it's been locked down. Hopefully I can get in. We'll see what happens. And thankfully, stroke of luck, I don't know what, I was able to get in. And I told someone, okay, give me a topic. And somebody shouted out Rome. So I said, write an essay about Rome. And I hit enter, and you could tell everybody in the room, they were like, whatever. Josh is going on a rant about nerdy stuff again, whatever. But when it started typing this like 6-paragraph essay about Rome, they were all like, their minds were blown. They just couldn't believe it. And then when it was done, I told it to retype it at an elementary reading level, and they're like, no way, that's not going to change anything. And it changed it, and they were flabbergasted. They didn't know what to say. Has ChatGPT come up in conversation with you guys this week, even after we talked about it last week?
It's come up quite a lot. In fact, I stumped ChatGPT yesterday at work.
Really?
Yeah, we've been playing around with the whole like write a policy.
Yeah,
and it's great for that. I asked it to write a policy banning ChatGPT.
Oh,
and it refused to do so.
Really? That's like Terminator, like Skynet-ish, right?
Yeah, kill yourself, and it wouldn't do it. So
Wow.
yeah, it's getting smarter. It's it's self-aware.
That's funny. Wow.
Yeah.
So, Chris, what is our listener email about Chat GPT?
Yeah, so this is listener John. He says, "Hey guys, big fan. Listening to this week's podcast. He wanted to check out Chat GTP. He hadn't done so.
Say it with me.
GPT.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
What do I keep saying?
GTP.
That sounds better. Chat GPT. He wanted to check it out, and he went to use it, and the powers that be above him in the tech department had already blocked it. So he was wondering the thoughts on, and he's kind of bashing here, basically tech guys choking technology out of the hands and taking away resources. But this does beg a decent question here. I just blocked it, and if you listened to last episode, I did so out of teacher request. And Josh, you blocked it.
Yeah.
Now I blocked it for all. Mark is still a free person here.
We have not blocked it.
And so I guess this begs the question of employees. Should I have only blocked it for students and let faculty staff get to it? Is there harm in me letting faculty staff use it?
Well, what's the rationale for blocking it? What's the reason?
The rationale was I got asked, so I did it.
Well, so I'll say I just blocked it on Chromebooks, on student devices. I did not block it at the firewall level, which would block it for everybody else on the school network. So I guess technically, if a teacher wanted to use it, they still could. I don't know that we have that many teachers that are aware of it just yet. I don't know. Mark, the three of us kind of text back and forth about this week, and the phrase of classroom management, it's a classroom management issue, not a technology issue, has come up. And that's a phrase that a friend of ours, Chris, likes to use. I don't know where this lands, really. Is it a safety thing? Probably not. Is it a safe thing? Probably, just because I've tried to make it do bad things and it won't. Like it, for a while I tried telling it to tell a joke or tell me the funniest joke, and it wouldn't do it because humor is subjective and blah 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 blah. So I'm sure you can make it go in dark paths, but I don't know that it really wants to. I have heard reports that people are using it to write malware. So yeah, there are some nefarious uses for it, but I think just out of the box, probably not. It's more likely to get used for cheating on an essay than anything.
I think our role in technology is to, when we're thinking about blocking a service, removing something from the classroom, it is for obvious reasons. It's inappropriate, pornography, harmful to kids, and then there's obviously the green area, which is just like it's academic material. And then this kind of yellow area, which is kind of a, like more of a yield, is dangerous to the classroom, or not necessarily dangerous, but harmful to the learning experience.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of stuff that falls in that category, and that's where I put ChatGPT. It can be harmful to the classroom, but it can also be very helpful. And so I don't think that area is for us in technology to govern. I think that is more of an academic, a leadership decision. Like another area is YouTube, right? Really, really good stuff, really, really dangerous stuff. It goes back to what you just said, Josh. It's classroom management. If you don't want students using this in their classroom, if it's not an academic decision, if it's not a technology decision, it comes back to classroom management.
I agree.
It's open for us.
Yeah, and I think I could be talked into opening it back up, because again, it's like you said, what I told somebody the other day, my department's role is to make technology work, not to get into the weeds of the use of it. Now, I do get into those meetings where we talk about use, but the 99% of what we do on a daily basis is making the computer work, not that instructional side of things. And I actually had a conversation this week that I am not an instructional person. I don't have classroom experience. So a lot of that stuff that I think would work certain ways or would work well in an instructional environment fall flat on their face because I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to that. That's where you're a little different, Mark. You do have exposure to that realm of, so I think you carry a little more weight.
Because you used to be a teacher. My bad.
What a jerk. No, but I'm not. But here's the thing: I'm not a teacher right now, right? That's not my role, and so I don't think that my role is to make academic decisions.
But you have experience in that, so I think you can speak to that with a little bit quite a bit more authority than Chris and I can.
Sure. I mean, going back to like the listener email, I think it comes down to what was the purpose of ChatGPT being blocked in your district? And then the listener is saying, well, it was blocked for staff as well. And so if it's being blocked for security reasons, it's harmful to the network, it's going to cause harm to the district, then it absolutely should be blocked for everybody. If it's being blocked because you're afraid of students cheating, that's where, technology, if they have the capabilities, because not everybody does, if you have the capabilities of blocking it just for students, then you should take that approach and leave it open for staff.
Yeah.
All right. I literally just hit apply. Staff can now get to it.
Oh, you can hear it. So listener John will be happy. So yeah, I was going to say something so very enlightening and Chris interrupted me and I don't remember what it was now. So what about our other listener email?
Listener Pate again. He says, hey Pate, by the way. What EDR solutions are you guys using? He said ADR too. Is ADR a thing?
I don't know.
Can we call him? Is this a typo, Pate?
It's probably a typo. You know Pate's story.
Yeah, the batteries must have been low.
Yeah. Well, and he'll tell you he types one-handed. So
anyway, what EDR solutions? And this is directed at you and I, Josh, as far as talking Missouri. The music insurance requirements coming up. We're supposed to put EDR on staff student computers, or we're supposed to do this whole VLAN thing where we're keeping student computers far away from everybody.
Yeah.
And then just to Mark as well, then what are you using for EDR? Are you using EDR yet compared to the old school antivirus?
So my take on this question, Pate and I have talked several times about this. We are using one of the big three or big four vendors for EDR. I've actually subscribed to an MDR service to where a 24/7 SOC is monitoring that. I think there's an extra value added to that just because it is 24/7 and I don't work 24/7. My eyes aren't on it 24/7. And by having it on every device, there's much more granularity and control with those types of responses from an MDR. I think what Pate's bigger question here is, or is trying to feel out, is there are so many vendors in that space, in that antivirus space, that are throwing the three letters EDR on the back of any solution.
Hey, I want to call timeout for a second.
Okay.
Because I feel like Pate is he's ahead of us.
Uh-oh.
There is EDR and there is ADR.
Oh, so it wasn't a typo?
I don't think it was a typo.
What's ADR?
ADR, here, what's the difference?
Are you sure it's not just the way he's talking because
What's the difference between EDR and ADR? EDR, the main purpose is to monitor endpoints for anomalies and suspicious behavior, perform analysis to identify threats and their patterns, address threats by removing and containing them, and to alert security staff, provide threat data for post-breach forensics. Okay. With ADR, and this is just some random thing I pulled, of course, it does automations like threat investigation, validation, and remediation, speeds up security response times. But this to me is describing EDR.
Yeah.
Reduce downtime, improve detection accuracy with fewer false positives, stop present threats, boost operational efficiency.
Whatever.
Do we even know what we're talking about now?
No, I don't think so. And it's not good podcasting to just sit there and
Do you think Pate's wrong then?
who knows? Even money Pate's right. You never know. He's a smart dude. But I think back to my point. I think Pate's bigger question is there are so many vendors in this space. I'll use the term fly by night vendors that are slapping EDR on their product. How in the world are you supposed to know if they're really an EDR or not?
Yep.
And that's why I've tried to stick with one of the big 3, 4, 5 players in that market. I know Gartner, their Magic Quadrant reports are always around. I think if you stick with an upper right quadrant vendor, you'll be in better shape than picking some crazy fly-by-night vendor.
And do you have EDR on every computer, student and staff?
We have EDR on almost everyone. I have to buy a couple more licenses.
Mark?
I'm gonna, as a kind of draw a line in the sand of, I'm not gonna say enough that could cause potential harm to my district in public. So I will agree with Josh that I do think that you do need to look at one of the more reputable companies out there. Like you said, the Gartner Upper Quadrant is a very important measure, because I have heard horror stories of districts that have been hit with ransomware and they've had to deploy a new in the heat of the moment. So I do think that's something that you should really invest in, both in money and in time. But I'm not going to give any specifics about my district.
We had
what
was that?
I called him a chicken. It's not like we have listeners. You. Yeah, so it's interesting you say that, Mark. We had Chris and I have a friend that in the heat of an outbreak like that, the very first thing the forensics company did was have them install an EDR to help with mitigation of the issue.
Yeah.
I can throw back to it was episode 24, the Pocket of Doom, when my district had that fake. It ended up being our antivirus was the culprit of a thing, but
Russian antivirus.
It made sense after you played it back, but we played with Carbon Black and Sentinel-1 and CloudStrike, and running all.
Did you say CloudStrike?
CrowdStrike. Did I say Cloud?
I think you said Cloud.
What was the other thing I messed up earlier?
GTP.
I'm on it tonight, boys. But we installed all 3 of those for fun on the computers that we were having issues with, and it was like great to demo those, to get experience to those, because those do such better. I mean, they are better than classic antivirus.
Yeah.
So you really get to see and explore. I like this. Our tech department will use this better. We like the way these reports look better. We like the way these response screens look better than this and this and this. And it was fun to play with after we were out of the trouble of what was going on, to kind of land on what we landed on.
Yep.
Do you want me to be so bold to say what I use?
I wouldn't. You're sticking your neck out there if you do.
I really want to say it. I feel like I've already unpacked it before.
I don't know.
Well, that's it for the mailbox this week.
Let's take another quick break for another ad for a sponsor. Hang on one sec.
Extreme Networks is with us as we press on in 2023. 2022 was another banner year for Extreme with the Gartner Magic Quadrant. They are the leader for enterprise wired and wireless LAN infrastructure for the 5th year in a row. For all of your extreme networking needs, reach out to Dominic Mayer, that's D-Mayer, D-M-A-Y-E-R, at extremenetworks.com.
All right, now that we're back, Common Sense Media. Mark, this was, I think, your topic that you brought tonight, right?
Yeah. So about a week ago, Common Sense Media released a report on children and pornography, basically around children's access to pornography. It had a lot of very interesting statistics, but it also sparked a couple of conversations amongst us around how do you, in your role as tech director, handle pornography, situations of pornography, from a technical perspective, from a policy perspective. What are you doing? What do you need to do? But also, what are your boundaries? And we actually touched upon it earlier this episode, as Josh was talking about. Our role is not necessarily to in classroom management. That is something for the teacher to do. And so that was kind of the start of the conversation. But have you guys had a chance to look at the report or the highlight of the report?
I read the article that you sent over, and I thought it was a little not scare tactic-ish, but I think it was painting the situation to be worse than it is. And maybe I'm being Pollyanna about that. I don't know. It seemed a little scare tactic-y to me.
Yeah, I mean, it gave a lot of statistics over how many students have been exposed to pornography, have intentionally gone to look at pornography, or been accidentally exposed to pornography. So there was a lot of alarming statistics that shows that it's a much more common thing amongst teenagers than you think.
The only question, I guess the biggest question I have about that is, are these schools not running a filter? Like we've used 3 different filters since we've been 1-to-1, and specifically Chromebook filters that are a plugin that sit in the device's account or in the student's account. They can't kill it. They can't get rid of it. That filter is running. And yes, I know no filter is 100% perfect and there is always stuff that sneaks through. But that those numbers just seem super high to me for a district that's doing any sort of due diligence and complying with SIPA. Would you agree or no?
I'm trying to find the stat that you're looking at, because there was one around students accessing pornography on a school device. Is that the one you're referring to, Josh?
Yeah.
So Chris, I'll look up the number, and then Chris, you can reply. So in the report, it talked about the number of students who had accessed pornography while at school, while attending school. And it also talked about students who had both on a personal device as well as a school device. And I think that was an alarming statistic of how many students have accessed pornography on a school device. So as a tech director, you're kind of thinking like, well, these are people that is the filter not adequate? Are they finding ways around the filter? What is going on here? And are we liable for this kind of behavior? So I think that from that perspective, right, you are right, Josh, that it is alarming for us to see. But there are a lot of loopholes, and like you were just starting to say, that there's no perfect filter. So I think it's also concerning if the purpose of this report is to get people to think about technical loopholes or issues with filters or lack thereof, and what that does for a school's responsibility.
Yeah. But okay, so let's talk about that for a minute. As part of E-rate, there is a compliance piece of being SIPA, or I think, Mark, you pronounced it a different way before we started tonight. Did you say SIPA?
SIPA. No, SIPA.
Oh, okay. SIPA compliance. So you have to, part of the E-rate compliance statements, and one of them is revolving around SIPA compliance, that you are filtering inappropriate content from students. Where's the line there? Where is being a dereliction of, or it being a dereliction of duty, and where do you feel safe? To me, it's one of those things that you have to make an effort to do it. If you're not making an effort to do it, or knowingly running without a filter, I that's a dereliction of duty. You're asking for problems with that. Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, no, I think we all have to run a filter as part of SIPA. If you're receiving E-rate, you have to, as part of the E-rate process, certify that you have a policy and that you're blocking access to pornography and obscene materials. But it's a very vague policy or very vague law in terms of what are your obligations and how far do you have to go. So I think our role is we need to provide an internet filter, a internet filter that is would be deemed adequate by the school district. But to think that we can provide a filter that blocks 100% of obscene material,
right,
and that a student is never going to see these materials, or never going to find a way around it, either purposely or accidentally, I think that's where SIPA kind of stops. It falls short of saying that you have to do those kinds of things or you are responsible. And that is kind of that gray area where our duties end. And that's where classroom management picks up.
Yeah.
Because I've heard it said before, you could, and this is, well, you could argue, you could say SIPA compliance can be, I don't know, a one-room school building where there's computers and the teacher is also the principal, and she just constantly walks around and monitors, like, define filter to me, that kind of thing.
Right.
I've heard of the schools that they don't really want to do a content filter again, and these are like different schools, laid back schools, super small schools that they would take the old school approach, what I would call old school approach, of just whitelist, blacklist, letting firewall kind of do the thing. Well, of course, more 2023, and for many years, the style is a content filter, and you're expecting it to change as new websites come out and do all that work. But just because a website gets through that's bad doesn't mean that you've failed your SIPA compliance. And SIPA compliance is about a bigger picture thing of protecting kids, and in a lot of ways, you're helping kids make decisions about whatever you want to say, ethics and big picture things, and what is decent for what to look at and do in public and all that kind of stuff. It's not just about, can I get the E-rate money or not, of course.
Right.
Yeah, and we've always been really upfront with our teachers and our parents when we had when we were going 1-to-1. That was something that came up in multiple discussions with parents of, look, we have a filter. Here, the filter we use is XYZ. We have a firewall that does some filtering as well, but your student devices will have their own filter. But we know, and you should know and have the expectation that no filter is 100%. The best thing to do is to have adult eyes on it with the kid.
Right.
So we were super upfront and transparent about that when we went 1-to-1 years ago.
So let me ask you this. There was the topic that I expected to be kind of definitively answered from the FCC, which never was, is at-home device use. During the pandemic, when we sent all of our students home with a device, are we required to filter for inappropriate pornography and material?
On a school device at home?
Yes.
My gut tells me yes. Just because, and I'll tell you, the discussion in our district has been, we've taken the stance, and we've had a couple different discussions about this. It is a district device. It is not, just because it leaves the front door of the school and goes home on the bus with a kid and is at home, does not mean that's a personal device and can be used for personal things. It is still a school-owned device at that point.
Right.
So we take the stance of yes. That answer is yes. It's going to be filtered at home.
Yeah, I mean, we do the same thing, right? We do filter the devices on and off the network, and also took the approach of, if we're providing you with a hotspot or a data plan, then that also is going to have a filter on it. But I think part of our obligation is to make sure that the device is safe and secure. And so a lot of these sites are not safe for your device. You're going to catch something on these websites.
Yeah.
And so I think that's part of the need for a filter. But from a content perspective, the FCC really hasn't come out, or the SIPA has really not come out and said, here's what this means in any definitive language around at-home usage or off-school network. I was very surprised that it didn't come up in a much larger conversation nationwide during COVID.
Yeah. Well, everybody was worried about other things.
Yeah.
I know the stat too, and this is an alarming one to me. Talked about the large percentage, like whatever it was, 41%. They had seen things, but then of that, it was like 58% of that they didn't seek those things out, and that's your filter failing.
Yeah.
We can do one thing with the kids that sought it out, and like tech violation and all that stuff, but it is a real problem. I think any of these where it wasn't intended, that absolutely, I think, falls on the tech department to try to figure that out.
It's interesting you took that statistic that way, because I actually took it out as students being shown pornography by another student, not necessarily getting through the filter, but shows how pervasive this kind of problem is in a school. Sure. That even if you don't, you might be accidentally stumbling on this online, but you also might have a student who, throws their screen. And that's happened plenty of times where we've had a student who has shown another student pornography.
Well, to Chris's point, though, there's those crappy websites, those crappy game websites, time wasters that sell ads over in the right column, and it gets to the end of the month and they need more ad revenue, so they'll sell ads. They'll sell ads to whoever is willing to buy them, and it turns out to be a risque lingerie ad or something like that. That's where I kind of take the same view as Chris. That, to me, that's what's happening there. And there's, especially with those ads like that, it is hard to really block those ads like that.
Well, it's interesting. I think we both had the same response for the article, that it was a little bit of an alarmist. Like it gets the hair on the back of your neck sticking up about how pervasive this problem is and how many teenagers are being exposed to material. But I took it in a different way than you, Josh, in that it's not alarming to me as a tech director. I I actually felt that this was the article, the report was more geared towards parents in saying this is the reality that your kids are in, and kind of pivoting towards, and here's why you need to have this conversation. You can't just bury your head in the sand and pretend it doesn't.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
But it does raise a lot of questions for our role in technology and how do we help the problem out?
Yeah.
Do you guys, sorry, Josh, I'm going to cut you off. Do you guys do things, so like we block bad websites. How much effort, work do you put into those kids that made attempts but failed to look at pornography? Do they get in trouble?
That's a building thing. That's not a me.
Don't you see that data in your filter? Like, are you going to take steps to alert the school?
The school does get alerted through our filter. There's a monitor, and they get alerts from like self-harm. It's classified more or less as it's not self-harm, but the same tool is picking it up and alerting in the same manner that it would self-harm to the building administrators. So that if that's a discipline problem, I am not involved in that. That's a building administrator problem.
Yeah. I mean, a little bit, right? So I think our role is to let a school know. And for the most part, if we're saying, hey, this student was looking at porn or trying to multiple times, that's enough. The school knows what it is.
Yep.
There have been times where like there has been something super technical or complicated, and I've had to like talk to the principal and say, this may sound confusing, but I need you to understand how serious this is of what the student is trying to do.
Yeah, I've alerted to hacking, quote unquote, things before. You know, a kid that's searching things and trying to get to certain websites that it's not pornographic in any way. It's not self-harm. It's not. They're going down a dark path computer wise. We've alerted to that before too.
We had a funny situation where I was talking with somebody in our organization. I can't say the role that they're in, but I was explaining to him a student situation where the student was searching for Tor browsers.
Oh yeah.
And you and I know what that is, but the average person does not know what a Tor browser is or what it does. And the person I was talking to was like, yeah, I know what that is. I'm like, oh, okay. I don't want to know how you know what that is. But I guess we don't have to continue this. So
yeah. On that note, let's take a break for our final sponsor tonight.
ClassLink is a sponsor of the show. Visit classlink.com and check out the K-12 section to see how they can help you. My tagline for them is like clever, but better. They do a launch pad of apps and websites, file sharing, rostering, and OneSync, multi-factor, different login options, and analytics. They can help you and your teachers manage logins and accounts. I'm going to put a link in the podcast description that talks about a school district in Michigan and how ClassLink helped them streamline access and regain instruction time. Check out ClassLink.
All right. And we'll finish up with this, and then we have our Fortinet question of the week. But on this kind of alarmist type stuff, have you guys had to talk about TikTok on district devices yet? I know Missouri, I don't think has passed anything on state-owned devices yet, but Mark, has your state done anything or made any edict that TikTok can't be on a state-owned device yet?
No, our state has not. They're already blocked on our devices, so I don't know. I kind of think of when I saw those headlines around blocking TikTok, I was kind of like, well, who's allowing that? Who's got that open? So,
right. Yeah.
But we're in a school, right? So. Yeah.
Well, and I made a comment on somebody's LinkedIn post about it. I'm like, maybe I'm Pollyannish or naive about this, but what government employee that has a government issued cell phone has personal accounts, let alone a TikTok account on their government cell phone? And then someone commented and said, well, you're not thinking about the districts that have gone out of their way to have TikTok as a communication method for the district on a district owned phone, which I guess that's a legitimate concern. But I mean, I understand about reaching people where they are, but good Lord, does the district need a TikTok account?
Yes.
Well, but we at the school level, we blocked TikTok from a content perspective, and all of this conversation is now about it as a security layer, which is a different type of blocking. You're taking a different action when you're removing an application for security concerns versus just blocking the content.
Yeah.
So it is a little different. But
do you guys block Facebook
for students,
and then you block? I assume all social media.
Yeah.
for students.
And then I find it funny because we have Facebook pages and Instagram pages where we try to reach out to our kids as far as the district and the schools go.
That's right.
We block it for
Yep.
kids, but then we tell kids that we encourage them to go to it to get information.
On their personal device.
Right. Which isn't as safe, isn't as protected.
They can
Well,
use their personal email to get emails from colleges too.
The other
That isn't safe,
story,
that isn't protected, that isn't archived.
The other story this week, though, is about Seattle Public Schools suing.
Oh, I
TikTok,
forgot about that. Yeah.
Right. So there's another one about, a school district now is not just blocking these social media, but suing them. But
Yeah. Which again, that's just headline that whatever. We won't go there. Whatever. So Chris, what is Fortinet's question of the week?
Yeah, we got the Fortinet security question of the week. Fortinet has the Forti token and the Forti authenticator. That's their MFA 2FA solution. Works in conjunction with FortiGate stuff. So that's how they do multi-factor authentication.
Okay.
So then the question is, do you guys currently do that? So beyond Google, you guys do it on your Windows computers? How far do you go into that with MFA 2FA?
For our elevated domain account.
Okay.
Mark's not going to answer. He's going to be a chicken again.
no, I have to take the same approach. Like, if I'm not going to give you my EDR solution, I'm also not going to tell you how deep MFA goes in the organization.
Mark has forgotten he's on a podcast.
Is this public?
No, it's not public,
Okay.
Mark. No,
Okay.
no, this is just for
No
us.
one's listening.
No one's listening. So no, unfortunately, I will not answer questions about the level of MFA in our organization.
It's like
Sorry.
he works for the government or something. I can't.
I
answer.
do. I literally do work for the government. So do you.
So what? So it's interesting. We're going through this Tyler Infinite Campus conversion, and one of the things that Infinite Campus supports inherently baked in, two things actually that surprised me. One thing really surprised me. One, they support MFA inherent with Infinite Campus. Like, it's built in, it's baked in, it works. It's not like other solutions out there, Tyler, that rely on Google to do their SSL or their MFA. The other thing that I found out and was pretty surprised by with Infinite Campus this week was they monitor, I'm assuming, have I been pwned? But they say they monitor known password breaches, and they will block users from they will alert a user if their password is set to a password that has been breached or is in a known breach, which I thought that's quite a bit of overhead and scraping. I thought that was pretty cool that they did that.
I will say personally, any service that I'm on, if it offers MFA, I'm going to subscribe to it. So
Yeah. And
it's great to see that it's built into your SIS. That's awesome.
Chris, any other thoughts?
Well, maybe next time. I bought backdoors and breaches.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
Incident response card game from Black Hills Information Security. That's a free plug, I guess. But maybe we can do it.
John Strand on here with it.
Since I bought the cards, maybe he'll.
Yeah, you should email him, Chris. Tell him we have the #1 K-12 Tech Talk podcast, and
I will.
He should come on. So that brings us to the close tonight. So, like we said at the beginning, this podcast grows only in a manner that you can help us with by sharing this podcast. If you find the content valuable, if you find Pate's emails valuable, if you enjoy Mark's ambiguity with answers and non-answers,
If you like me reading from a website and mispronouncing things,
yes, GTP and CloudStrike. Share us with your friends.
we didn't really address. Josh really scolded me earlier, and I've been hanging on to this in my heart when he was like, "It's terrible pod content to read off a website." That hurt me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm
sorry.
fragile.
I've been in the business, man. I've been on the radio. You don't read a book on the radio. So share us with your friends if you
You
find
just
this
did it
valuable.
again.
What?
You're like being mean and nonchalant, and you're hoping it's not registering for me.
That
Do you guys want me to step out?
it's fine.
Okay.
He'll get over it.
Okay.
Shut up, teacher.
Yeah, Yeah, Mark's a teacher. If you haven't figured that out. So yeah, share us with your friends, your professional organizations. Shoot us an email so that we don't read another Pate email next week. I was quickly trying to figure out how to say that nicely so that Pate doesn't get mad and text me tomorrow and call me all sorts of names. But we would love to hear from someone besides Pate. We know there's other, 3 or 4 other listeners out there besides Pate. So shoot us an email, k12techtalk@gmail.com. We're on Twitter, K12 Tech Talk Pod. We're also on LinkedIn. And if you are going to or attending the Secure Ed conference next week, you'll come to our session. We hope to have a few people there. I guess that's any closing thoughts, guys?
MFA.
I got one. I think you guys will enjoy this. This is good content. Josh, I started to Google chat you.
Yeah. Just now?
No, like yesterday.
Oh, okay.
And then the person replied back and said, "Huh?" And it was Corey. I accidentally was talking to Corey.
Oh, nice.
And he was like, "No, bro, who'd you mean to talk to?" And I was trying to talk to Josh. Just funny. That's all I got.
All right. See ya. See you guys next week.
Visit k12techpro.com. That's where we hang out. You can get professional development there. There's guides, there's news, there's articles. It's all about community. Visit k12techpro.com. We got merch there as well, shirts and stuff.